is an audiobook of Interchange English, Grammar and Composition of Class 9. Chapter 35, page number 314, Newspaper Articles. Written work published in print or internet medium for the purpose of propagating news, academic analysis, research, or debate is called an article. The main component of an article include an attention-grabbing, thought-provoking, and original headline followed by an interesting introduction. Then, we have the body of the article, which must throw light on the topic introduced in the opening paragraph, give critical insight about it, and head toward a logical conclusion. Finally, the conclusion should arouse hope and call for the readers to take action. Article writing gives you a chance to share compelling and important information with readers. An article is like a direct conversation with the reader. It has to get attention. For an article to work, it has to be engaging enough to read all the way through. It is usually written on a well-defined topic, such as a factual account of a newsworthy event in a semi-formal and conversational style. The writer should be objective and show all sides of an issue in a well-organized manner, and always remember that the best endings often link back to the starting point in some way. Read the following specimen article. Why Child Labor Persists is the title, written by Ayushma Basnet. Yesterday was the World Day Against Child Labor. Can you imagine not having had a childhood? Can you imagine not giving your child a childhood? According to Nepal Child Labor Report 2010, for 1.6 million children between 5 and 17 years, not having a childhood is the reality. Approximately 168 million children are engaged in child labor globally, and UNICEF estimates that 1 in 10 children live in conflict-affected areas. Children are most susceptible to child labor in times of disaster and conflicts. Nepal knows this all too well, with bitter experiences from the civil war and the earthquake. The problem of child labor remains as entrenched as ever, even years after both events. The government of Nepal has signed various international conventions, including the UN Child Rights Convention in 1990, the ILO Convention on Minimum Age number 138 in 2003, and on the worst form of child labor number 182 in 2004. At the national level, the government of Nepal has established the Children's Act 1992, the Children Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 2000, and the Kamaiya Labor Prohibition Act 2002. If we have regulations that ban child labor, why does the problem still exist? The cause. One of the most prominent reasons cited for this is poverty. The Asian Development Bank ADB reported in 2015 that 25.2% of the Nepali population lived below the national poverty line. The sentiment that children's income can supplement household income is common among people here. So much so that many people in some regions of Nepal will tell you, "My child brings home money if I send him to work. If I educate him, what return will it give me?" The trade-off between short and long-term gains is something most people have a hard time envisioning, thereby perpetuating the problem of child labor. Our existing culture of exploitative labor is also to blame. We live in a society where child labor seems socially acceptable, seems not is. As long as we do not question the practice of a little kid serving us momos or charging us for our microbus rides, we are normalizing the phenomenon. Situations of conflict and disasters further exacerbate the problem of child labor. Children may be displaced from their families during such times. Recall the numerous instances from the Civil War as well as the earthquake where children being separated from their families made the news regularly. In absence of an informal support system, including family or community that may be able to provide immediate support to the child, we would hope to rely on formal systems, including policies and regulations for protection. But even this can be misleading, as our experiences have taught us. With poverty as a strong driver of child labor, there is one glaring need, the need to create alternatives with education at the center. Need for alternatives. If one thing is for certain, it is this: People will never prioritize education until and unless their family can afford decent meals every day. And we will never move past such grim issues without an educated society. Therefore, we need to invest in skills training and vocational education for the country's parents and youths so that they can find a means of employment. If we are asking parents to send their children to school, we also need to create an environment where this can be a possibility for everyone. Once they have a stable source of income, families can then begin to think about education for their offspring. We need to ensure that parents and community members understand why child labor will have a crippling effect not only on the fate of the country but also on the fate of their child. Our work with parents and community members can further serve to tackle the social norms that makes us so complacent, COMPLACENT, to the sight of working children. The rates of children enrolled in school will only go up if the families and communities understand the importance of education. Additionally, we can work with government bodies and the civil society to set up monitoring mechanisms in the fight against child labor. This can be further coupled with learning tours for members of both the bodies so that there is first-hand knowledge about the issue at the micro level. This will help formulate realistic policies at the macro level. Advocacy efforts to uproot child labor through regulations need to go hand in hand with advocacy efforts to create alternatives for children and their families so that parents do not rely on children to supplement the family income. We owe it to the future of our country to give children the childhood they deserve. Basnet has MSc in Global Governance and Diplomacy from the University of Oxford, published on Tuesday, June 13, 2017 in the Kathmandu Post. Water Management. Utsav Bhatrai and Santosh, Nepal. As Nepal is going through a phase of economic development, a lot of water resources projects are being planned and constructed. Unfortunately, the country still takes the conventional project-by-project approach to development, which has its limitations. With a river basin approach, many sectors like hydrology, climate, ecosystem, floods and droughts, erosion and sedimentation, hydropower protection, irrigation, and upstream and downstream linkages, among others, are considered in their totality. The government of Nepal explicitly states in the Water Resources Strategy 2002, the National Water Plan 2005, and the Nepal Water Resources Policy, which is in the process of being finalized, that properly harnessing of available water resources through a river basin management approach could increase agriculture and hydropower productivity and improve the economic status of the country. For such an approach to work, we need solid scientific data and knowledge of the water resources in a given river basin. Current and future scenarios of the basin concerned need to be understood carefully. If the basin's future state can be forecast to a reasonable degree of confidence, the drivers of such changes can be identified and manipulated to bring about positive changes in the development process. A watershed model. In this context, an assessment of the implications on the quantity and quality of water due to current and future development is extremely important, and this is where watershed models are crucial. A watershed model is a simplified conceptual representation of various water-related natural and anthropogenic phenomena. Examples include the hydrological cycle, which can be approximated with a hydrological model, river flow dynamics, which can be represented by the hydrodynamic model, groundwater systems, which can be modeled with a groundwater model, basin level planning, which can be done using a water planning model, and a hydropower production and energy planning, which can be characterized by a hydropower model. Watershed models vary in their basic forms and structures and functionalities and capabilities depending on the availability of data and their uses. Understanding hydrological regime, water supply and demand scenarios and associated changes is key to the assessment of water availability to support strategic planning for a given basin's development. Watershed modeling with a river basin approach helps collective decision making and coordination among key water sectors. The Kosi Basin Program, an initiative at the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development (ICIMOD), conducted a study from 2012 to 2016 with the International Water Management Institute (IWMI) with the aim of arriving at such an understanding. The study was conducted in several locations on the transboundary Koshi River Basin and was modeled using a popular hydrological model, soil and water assessment tool SWOT, and a basic level planning model, water evaluation and planning system WEAP. Results obtained from the SWOT models show that the spatial SPATIAL variation of precipitation PRECIPITATION, evapotranspiration EVAPOTRANSPIRATION, and available water within the Kosi Basin is significant. There are large temporal variations in water balance components. Results of the study depict higher precipitation and water availability in the southern part of the basin compared to the northern portion. Water is available in surplus during the monsoon with the characteristic flooding in the Tarai in Nepal and Bihar in India. On the other hand, there is acute shortage of water in many parts of the basin during the dry period. Further, seasonal and interannual variability in water availability are expected to amplify in future climate scenarios. More than 50% of the basin is projected to see an increase in precipitation and consequently the availability of water. The middle part of the basin or hills is most affected while the uppermost part of the basin or mountains is the least affected. Holistic River Basin Concept WEAP results also confirms that at the annual scale, the Kosi River Basin is not water deficit basin. Agriculture demands rank highest, followed by domestic and industrial demands. Results further show that the construction of all 11 hydropower projects proposed by the Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA in the mid-80s can increase hydropower productivity and aid socio-economic development in Nepal. If these projects are operated to their fullest potential, about 30,000 gigawatt hours of hydropower could be generated annually in the basin. This is about 17 times the total energy Nepal imported from India in the fiscal year 2015-16 and will lead to possibility of exporting surplus energy. A holistic river basin concept based on strong scientific data and knowledge backed by research is necessary for the sustainable and speedy development of the water resources sector of Nepal. In this context, watershed models can be extremely useful in providing meaningful information about water availability, hydropower generation, supply-demand scenarios, extreme events such as floods and droughts, and collective decision-making as has been done for the Kosi River Basin. Bhattarai is a water resources modeler at Water Modeling Solutions Private Limited. Nepal is a water and climate specialist at International Center for Integrated Mountain Development (ICIMOD), published on Sunday, June 4, 2017 in the Kathmandu Post. Format of an article. A. Heading. Give an eye-catching heading which conveys the central theme of the article. B. Byline. Give the name of the person by whom the article is written. C. Introduction. The opening paragraph must mention what the article is about, catch the reader's attention, arouse the interest in the reader, limit and control what you intend to discuss in your article, use clear and precise language. You can even give a quotation or definition. D. Develop a cause-effect relationship. Use facts to support your argument. Use examples to supplement your views. Put your arguments in a clear, logical, and convincing way. E. Compare and contrast. Give views that are contrary to yours. Compare and justify why you consider your views to be better than others. F. Conclusion. Sum up all your ideas. Offer measures, solution to improve the situation, personal observation and forecasts. Source: Sharma, M.M. 2016. Applied English Grammar and Composition, New Delhi, India, New Saraswati House, page number 76. Show what you know, page number 318. Number 1. Write an article to be published in a local newspaper in about 200 words on the topic The Culture and Traditions of Nepal. Number 2. Write an article in about 150 to 200 words on the topic Child Labor, a menace, MENACE, to the society. 3. Write an article to be published in the Daily in 150 to 200 words on the topic Shooting for Fun or Killing Endangered Species. Number 4. Write an article deploring the neglect of our traditional social and moral values and emphasizing the need of preserving them. Number 5. Write a newspaper article highlighting the reasons why the dowry system is to be eliminated. Number 6. Write a newspaper article on ICT in classrooms. 7. Write a newspaper article Youth Volunteerism. 8. Write a newspaper article on the role of the government in providing health security to the citizens. 9. Write a newspaper article highlighting how students can avoid procrastinating. Procrastinating. 10. The role of education in shaping one's personality cannot be undermined. Rather, investment in education leads to a rich harvest. Write an article expressing your views on the importance of education in one's life. With this, chapter number 35 is completed at page number 318.